Hey everyone, welcome to Coldesi's first webinar for the Avancé 1501C, our commercial embroidery machine. My name is Mark Stevenson, I am the marketing guy, so if you have any questions during the presentation, I'm going to tell you two things that you can do. You can either raise your hand in the software or just ask the question. We may not get to it before the end of the presentation, but regardless, that's all saved so we can send out the answers to you as well. We're trying to record today, which is occasionally successful. If we get a good recording, we'll send it out. Otherwise, please pay careful attention. For those of you that are here, you're going to be happy if you stay to the end. We've got a great crowd, and there's some good bonuses at the end of the presentation. You just got to stick it out and listen to the whole thing before you find that out. So you are going to ask questions whenever you want, and we will get to them if we can. If not, we'll remember to email you the answers. And also, you know about raising your hand and asking questions. I see there's a question now. Just do that. Last time, I'll remind everyone, if you have a problem with audio, turn off the audio on your computer and call in. There's a phone number in that original email, and call in. There's also a chat on your screen somewhere asking you to review us on Google. That is a big deal for us. We would really appreciate your help as far as that goes. Okay, what I'm going to do now is introduce Don Copeland, salesperson extraordinaire, who's going to talk to you about the Avancé. Don?
Extraordinaire, I like that word. Hi everybody, welcome tonight. I'm glad you all have shown up. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Avancé, the 1501C. The Avancé is our latest product we've added here at Coldesi. It is a compact commercial embroidery machine with an attitude. And when I say that, it's because it has a sewing field larger than most standard size commercial embroidery machine. I'm going to show you, kind of starting off, this is the largest hoop available on this machine. 15 inches by 21 inches. Most standard machines are more in the area of about 14 by 18, maybe 14 by 19. Huge sewing area. If you do a lot of patches, or you do any blankets or things like that, great for doing that, which is not common with a commercial machine. A couple of other things about the machine. Comes with a full set of hoops. You're going to have 4 different sets of hoops. For the shirt front, you're going to have a 9, a 12, a 15, and a 20 centimeter. The 20 centimeter, which I have right here, is actually one of the largest round hoops you'll find for any commercial embroidery machine. 20 centimeter, most are only about 18. Another bonus that you get here from the Avancé. Comes with a pair of 12 by 12, which is roughly, it's a square hoop used for small jacket backs, as well as your cap driver allows you to do 270 degrees of the hoop itself, of the shirt itself, hat itself, so you'll be able to do all but the back panels of the hat. The machine comes with 15 colors, obviously a color display that you can load with a USB, but it's also capable to be driven through a connection on the back that you would set it up with an Ethernet connection, and you can actually set up multiple machines, so you can download your designs to multiple machines at one time. So if you had 2 or 3 of these, have them hooked up with the Ethernet, you can send your designs over via Ethernet as opposed to loading each one individually with the USB thumb drive. If you have been using a commercial embroidery machine in the past, maybe used floppy disk drives, you can take a USB thumb drive will probably hold just about every design you'll ever do in your life compared to the floppies. The floppies used to hold about 100 designs in most cases, and a USB may be 40, 60, 80, 100 times larger than that. So you're going to be able to load up multiple designs at one time. What I want to do right now, just to give you a quick example, we're going to start sewing out the rest of this hat that we've got loaded onto the machine. As you can tell, I'm being able to talk over top of the machine. It's relatively quiet. Right now we're running this design right here at about 800 stitches per minute, which is incredibly fast for a cap design. Most machines operators are going to tell you to run a machine at 650 for a hat. This machine does a great job sewing even at 800 stitches per minute on a cap. Kind of nice to watch it a little bit. Can you zoom in on that, Mark?
Yeah.
Mark's going to zoom in a little bit so you can see the machine sewing on a cap. And these are little things that maybe if you haven't been around commercial embroidery a lot, that I look at the machine I get excited about. Great lighting. If you're like me, old guy, wear glasses, being able to rethread a hoop, a needle with a light from behind is huge. Most machines actually put their lights out here on the front shining down on the needle, which is great if you're behind the machine and you're trying to thread a needle. When you're like me and you're having a little bit of challenges, I'm glad we got to finish the last about 50 stitches of that design. You're going to have the ability to thread very easily and being able to see on that. What I'm going to do now is real quickly see if there's any questions. Number one, are there any questions we got yet, Mark?
No, actually, we do want to know from you guys, though, how many of you are already in the business? How many embroiderers do we have, or people that are doing screen printing or DTG? Just raise your hand.
Wow, not seeing a lot of hands. Couple, yes. Deb, Patty, okay. Yolanda, Linda, already in the business, great. How many of you all are actually doing embroidery, or are you just screen printers? If you're an embroiderer. Kelly, okay, I think I've spoken to you with Kelly, good to see you. Okay, so we have quite a few embroiderers. Alrighty, great. One of the biggest benefits to this is if you're in embroidery or you're adding embroidery to your business, forget about the application of the machine itself, is the investment into your business. The money you spend on this single head machine is covered for 2 years with us here at Coldesi. If your business grows and you need a 4-head, you need a 6-head, we're going to give you 100% of the money you spend on this machine back towards a 4-head or a 6-head for the next 2 full years. That's huge. You know, you're growing your business and you don't want to make a mistake of over-investing. But you also want to know that you didn't make a mistake as well. So with this, you buy a single head, you get going with it. When you're working too many hours, guess what? Then it's time to make a call. Do I need a 4-head? Do I need a 6-head? You call up your sales rep here at Coldesi. We'll give you 100% back of what you paid for this for 2 full years, and you can grow your business that way without worrying about wasting money or losing money on your investment. That's huge for a lot of people, especially if you already have a business. I was just talking to a customer of mine today who's up in Kentucky. Got a large business. He has a couple of direct-to-garment printers from us, and he also does signage, a lot of different types of printing. He was wanting to dip his toes into embroidery, didn't know if he should go for a 2-head, should he go for a 4-head, what to do. Probably needed a single head, he wasn't sure. Bang, he's buying an Avancé from us because it gives him the opportunity to invest, test the waters, and determine within 6 months, a year, 2 years, how much he needs to invest into his equipment without really wasting anything. In essence, we're helping you earn the down payment or even make the payment on your 4-head or 6-head in a very short period of time. Lady Mark's clicking around on a lot of things.
I am sorry.
I don't know if you guys can see what's going on here, but it's confusing in my world.
I just wanted everybody to see that trade-in information.
There's a
is
trade-up
on the
guarantee
website,
right there.
and
It is the best trade-up in the entire industry. In fact, it's double what anybody else offers. And actually, most companies actually have only an 80% trade-up for the first year. We have our first question. Martin, there will be a great prize for you at the end. I don't know what it is, but we'll figure it out. Does it have a USB port for straight USB and not a thumb drive? No, it does not do direct USB, because you literally need to be at the machine to copy the design into the embroidery machine. However, if you want to do that, you're simply just going to hook it up via the cable we were talking about earlier, the Ethernet connection, to be able to directly download at that point. Okay, so if you do want to direct connect, you would use an Ethernet instead of the USB. The USB is simply just an addition like a drive. Any other questions?
I see a lot of hands up.
I see Scott, you have a question?
Or is that just old? You guys have just had your hands up.
Okay, maybe not. Okay, not a problem. Judy, Scott, I think those are just folks talking about where they do embroidery or whatnot.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to turn this over real quickly to Sean. And what Sean is going to do, I'll answer your question real quickly here, Scott, while we're firing Sean up. Sean's going to go through real quickly an overview of the software that we use. For those of you all who haven't done embroidery before, he's going to show you how quick and easy it is to take an existing design that's already been digitized, which in our world we call stock designs. The rest of the world might call those clip art. And he's going to show you how to add text to it. Now, Scott, your question was, how many stitches does it hold? The machine will hold 200 designs up to 2 million stitches, which allocates you about 10,000 stitches per design. One of the cool things about this is it's also going to continue to hold your sew sequence. So if you set up your machine so that you have maybe 9 or 10 core colors that you use on a regular basis, and your design happens to fall into that same set of 10 colors, you save it on there. You don't have to worry about resetting your sew sequence. For those of you all who've done embroidery, that's huge. That saves you a lot of time on setup. If you haven't done embroidery, let's put it this way. We sell over 450 colors of thread. Knowing that where your 10 core colors are, not having to worry about changing that over every time you pull that design up for your local high school or a customer you do a lot of shirts for, that's going to save you a lot of time. What we have on the screen right here right now, and I believe that's what you all are seeing,
Yep.
is our Stitch Era software which comes with the machine. Sean has already brought in a design. It's a flower, lovely flower. And he's going to bring in, he's going to show you what you would typically do. This is the core of what most embroidery is about. You're going to take a pre-done design, maybe something, a deer head, a flower, whatever. You're going to add some text to it. So Sean's going to show you how easy it is to do some text right now here in the Stitch Era.
Now, I will say that the 4,400 designs come with the Avancé.
That's a huge number of stock designs. 4,400. 400 of those are coming, I mean 200 of those, I'm sorry, are coming from Dakota Collectibles. And the Dakota collection of, are just amazing. Each of the first 2 months you're able to download 100 of those designs. And those designs, some of them cost $30, $35 a piece. Great opportunity to build a collection of stock designs that you can use to make money on. While I was talking, as you see, Sean has already added the text and he's arced it. Now, a lot of folks are going to look at that and you're going to see the line between the C and the O and the D, O and the L and the D and whatnot. So Sean's going to show you some selection tools that we have here, the ability to control where we have lock stitches and where we have trims. He's going to tell it here between the letters, bang, done. Now we no longer have this jumps between that. If you're an embroiderer, you're probably going to say, well, was that worth the time? It depends on the material you're sewing on. If I'm sewing on a PK or something like that with like a typical golf shirt, I'm probably not going to worry about doing those trims. If I am sewing on maybe a performance wear, maybe I'm sewing on a towel, I mean, when I say a towel, I mean like a tea towel, something that's really more like a linen, I'm probably going to want to trim those. This automatically is going to take care of it here so you don't have to worry about it. Have the ability to change your thread colors here. Actually in the software you can go up, now you'll be able to print out when we're done with it, actually a workflow sheet that you would give over to your operator. It's going to tell you the sew sequence of the design, how many stitches it is, what the actual colors are. If you've actually programmed in here, you can program in here these colors to what thread manufacturer, if you're using our thread, our royal thread, maybe you know it's number 4751. You'll be able to program that right in, and when you hand that over to your operator, they know what spool of thread to go grab to put on and what sequence to load that up onto your machine. Are there any questions that we might have about the software that goes with the machine?
Yeah, Don, I see one question up there. Somebody noticed that there is a couple of other tabs up there. It says artwork, embroidery, hotfix, and view. So I'll answer that one. So basically what you can do is, these are all part of the Design Era suite. So if you have an embroidery machine and want to do rhinestones or spangles, or you just want to output artwork to a plotter or cutter, this software will do that.
Yeah, the cool thing is that the Stitch Era is all part of a core package that has a bundle of different output devices. The actual engine that you design in is the same. You could either add one of our rhinestone machines, our spangle machines, or for that matter, even have a vinyl cutter and be doing the brush and bake system and incorporate that so that you can do what we call multimedia or mixed media designs off of the same design. Somebody here, Scott again, is asking, what format does this machine need? Just like virtually all other commercial machines, it takes the DST format, Scott. And Martin actually asked the same question. What is the output file type the machine uses? DST. Is this proprietary software, or what would it compare to? Wilcom? That's a good question. I personally like this better than the intermediate levels of Wilcom. It is not proprietary to us. It's written by a company called Sierra. They're an Argentinian company that's been doing this for a long, long time. I've been here for 10 years. We've been selling their software for that entire 10 years. So it's not proprietary to us. However, we're the only company that sells it for all these different applications. Are there any other questions about software specifically? Coloring is done on the machine since it uses a DC. Yes, Martin, basically what you do is you're going to load the design in. And once you've loaded the design into the machine and you bring it up to your work area, it's going to ask you to set the sew sequence. So for those of you all who have not done embroidery before, basically embroidery machines are blind. When you load in an embroidery file, it's just going to say, I have 4, maybe 5 colors. It's going to ask you, okay, color 1 is on what needle or what needle path. So first color might be red, and red is on needle number 6 in our case. I'm going to put 6, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 8, whatever the sew sequence is. Does it interface with CorelDRAW? Good question, Jeff. Not directly with CorelDRAW, because as you'll learn when you get into embroidery, there are so many different stitch options. There are things you have to worry about, like pull compensation and underlay. However, you can bring those nice vector files that you generate in CorelDRAW straight into Stitch Era, and you have a great foundation to build your artwork from. With the auto digitizing tools, you're going to be able to knock out 80–85% of the work of digitizing just with that good clip art, or the graphics you're going to bring in from Corel as a good vector file.
Great. Don, there's another question here about using TrueType fonts.
Absolutely, TrueType fonts. Now understand that TrueType fonts are what they are. If it's a bad TrueType font, we're going to do a great job of letting you use a bad TrueType font. However, if you got good TrueType fonts, you're going to be able to bring those directly in. So if you have, especially the resident fonts that came with your system, or any fonts you've bought, you're going to be able to use those directly in this on top of the fonts that come with the software that are pre-digitized. Do we have GCC? I would have to check, but I'm virtually certain we do, Jeffrey. That would be part of an add-on package that you'd use, which is, I think it's only a few $100 for the cutter to be able to do the rhinestone patterns for the GCC. I'm virtually certain that GST use PLT files, which is kind of a generic format used in the plotter marketplace.
Yeah, the answer is definitely you can add Hotfix Era to the Stitch Era suite, and it's $500.
$500 for the plotter version. Typically in the sales department, we're selling it for the rhinestone machines and the spangle machines, so it's a little bit more for that, but it's not as much when you add it for this. It says I use Liberty and Corel, and they work pretty well together. Yes, Liberty, that's great, Mark. That wasn't even a question, that was a testimonial. Corel is, you can do so much in Corel, and why reinvent the wheel? So use what you're using there, bring it straight into Liberty, and you're going to get great graphics, and you're going to be able to quickly digitize and be able to move your graphics you've done maybe for other screen printing or other operations straight into your embroidery.
Okay, so I know that we had this presentation on for scheduled for 30 minutes. I knew we would not be able to keep it to 30 minutes. But how about if you guys keep typing in your questions, we'll try to answer them as they come up. And is there anything else that you wanted to see about the software, or have we shown them everything that we'd like them to see?
I think for the most part, seeing the software, one of the big things about this software, if you've been around embroidery before, very, very familiar format here. Like Mark was saying about using it with CorelDRAW. Very nice operational, just like CorelDRAW, like Illustrator, like Photoshop. A lot of the embroidery softwares you're going to look out there in the market that our competitors put with their machines, very menu driven, very DOSy feeling, if that's a word. I've just created it, so it is a word. They feel like old Windows 3.11 or whatnot. This is very much a graphically driven package, and it is easy for people who have used other graphic design software to quickly transition to this software. Alright, so I don't see any more questions popping up about the software. So the next step we're going to do is we've been sewing a cap here. I'm going to have Sean quickly transition over to... Yes, Sean, you're going to do it. We're dragging Sean in right now with the hook. Now, Sean's going to transition over to doing flats. As you see, one of the nice things about this is if you've got another machine or you have hoops and specialty application things that allow you to, whether it's fast frames or something like that, we have a multitude of different widths we can set these arms at too. So you may find that some of the stuff you've invested into as an embroiderer to do specialty items, you'll be able to sit onto this. You don't just have one set size. Sean's going to come over and he's going to start transferring us over to the flats. I'm going to answer a couple questions here.
And by the way, first of all, before you go any further, the system does come with the ability to do flats and caps. You get cap drivers with the machine.
Really, I mean, literally, if you knew what you were doing when you got the machine, the only thing you have to do is build the stand. The threads are already going to be fully through the system, tie off, pull through, load the software, you're ready to rock and roll. Now, one thing I did want to show here, and I'll probably get myself in trouble. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to do the software, Sean. What is the width between the legs? Patty, what do you mean by that? Between the legs of the machine itself, what's the footprint of the machine? Or do you mean the arms?
Will it fit on my table? Just ask that question.
Yeah, are you asking will it fit on the arms itself? It's going to vary. I don't even know what the widest is, do you? It's got, let's put it this way. Where's my big hoop?
It's about 30 inches.
It's going to, at the widest, it's going to fit. Yeah, you're looking at about almost 30 inches on the widest for the arms. And the smallest you're going to come down to about 14 or 15. I've never measured it. But, I mean, the largest hoop is about 9.5 inches. There you go.
By the way, I did want to point out
Where his hand is, yes.
Yeah.
It's going to vary. As you can see, you may not be able to see. Can you zoom in on that for us, please, Mark?
Let's see if I can do that.
I'll tell you what, I've got my finger in the furthest out. Sean, put your finger in the furthest out right there. That is the widest that the arms will go, okay? And then we also have, you'll see there's indexes all the way into the smallest, which is what is going to hold our smallest hoop, which is about 12.5, 13 inches. So you have multiple steps in there. Does that answer your question for you, Patty?
Okay, great.
You're welcome. All right, so Sean's going to change over now.
All right, it's basically loosen two screws, which holds the cap driver on the machine. We'll slide that off, place that to the side.
Yeah, you don't even remove the screws, you just loosen them and they slide out because these are slotted.
We have our arms. We'll place our arms on the machine. You'll notice it's got the screws in. They slip into a groove. We'll tighten these down. There's 2 on the cap frame and 4 on the arms, 2 on each side. You want to make sure these are nice and snug. You do not want them to move while you are sewing, or your registration will be off or cause problems. We'll come to the other side.
I see that Martin is asking how wide is it between the 2 legs that stick out? I mean, I assume you're talking about these right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send Mark out to get a ruler.
That's what I'm going to do.
Get a yardstick.
We haven't had these kind of measurement
these
questions
are good questions,
before.
though. No, I like it. They're serious questions.
Tighten that down.
Yolanda was asking a question about using a mighty hoop for another machine. If it does not fit on here, we can order the actual, I call them ears, because I'm a printer guy, all right? You can order these separate ears for your mighty hoop that will allow it to fit in. We have not tried them for other machines, but I'm certain that they will. All right, the question is, what is the width between the outside of these is about 23.5, and the inside width on these is just a hair under 15. Does that answer your question?
While he's got the tape measure out, does anybody have any more questions? Don is approximately 5'10".
I appreciate the fact that Mark gave me an extra inch of height than I am, but that's cool.
Okay.
How deep is it from the needle head to the back of the neck? So you're talking about from actually the needle hole, Patty, to the back that it'll go to? Once again, we're going to do this. We are looking at about 14 inches. Patty, we got, does the strike plate have to be changed? No, it does not use, this has got a universal needle plate right here, which is good. As you can see, if Mark can zoom in here, see it's actually a raised needle plate, all right, which is typically what you would want to use on a cap, but it works really well on flats on this machine, so you're not having to change out that needle plate like you do on some machines when you go from flats to caps. All right, so we've changed over to here. Have Sean. Sean's going to go ahead and load us up, and we're going to pull up a design. You want to pull up the, what do we have in there we can sew for these folks?
The Coldesi logo.
We'll do the Coldesi logo. What a coincidence.
Once you take the cap frame off and
yes, standard bobbins, by the way, Jeffrey.
And put the arms on for the flat mode, on the control panel you have a little icon that shows a cap, which means we're still in cap mode. So what we want to do is the button on the left side, which changes from flat to cap, cap to flat. We hit it one time, it says set as close type. We press enter, enter again, and it will reposition the sewing field to the 21 by 14 inches rather than the 3 by 14 inches for the cap frame.
I'm going to do a timeout here real quick. If you use another brand of embroidery machine, I've never seen one do this before. When you change over to caps, it automatically reduces your sewing field, and it automatically flips your design, which is great, because how many times, if there's embroiderers among you, you have sewn a hat with a design upside down because you got to rotate it. This automatically does it. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Once we've done that, we'll go ahead and place the hoop on the machine. Lock it in. We want to put the machine on needle number 1. And now we want to put needle 1 in the middle of our hoop by using the 4 directional arrow keys. We'll reposition it. And a cute little feature here is to make sure needle 1 is in the direct center of this hoop, following needle number 11 will be in the center of the center screw on the left side of the hoop. So we'll just reposition it. By doing that, that lets you know needle number 1 is in the center of this hoop. What we want to do now is we want to go into the menu and select our design.
So you know, by the way, there's a video up on our website that'll be a little bit more zoomed in on this as well. We'll shoot you all over some links to that as well, so you actually can see a concise video on this as well. Sorry.
Alright, that's okay. We'll go ahead and select design out of memory. And as you can see, I can scroll down and it shows me a little picture of what it looks like. We're going to select this design. We select it. We now go in and do we want to enter the embroidery status. Come down, choose our colors. I'm going to arrow into the first position. We choose a color on the machine. We'll go with color 2, 5, 7, 9, 4, 6, and 3. Once you have your colors set in, you enter them in. We will then go down to Home and actually set our start point. What we're doing is we're telling the machine, this is where I want the center of the design of the start point to be. Once we've done that, we go back down to Home and we do a contour range check, which is also known as trace. You want to trace the design to make sure it's going to fit inside the hoop. Since we moved ahead to needle number 1, we'll be watching needle 1 as it traces the design inside the hoop.
Now keep in mind, you only have to do all this on the first design that you sew.
Right.
So if you're doing, 200 of these, you're doing it once, and then you're just swapping out the hoops.
Then you're good to go. So once you're done sewing, it'll go back to center where we set our start point. You'll pull that hoop off. You got your next good one already hooped because you get 2 of the same size hoops. Place it on the machine, press start, unhoop it, clean it up, fold it, hoop your next one.
Before we hit start and start sewing here, I want to answer a couple of these questions real quick. How close to the brim of the hat can you sew? Scott, the answer is how close to the brim of the hat can you hoop? All right? As long as you can hoop it in consistently and not have be concerned about the metal on the back side of the hat being an issue for the needle striking it, you can sew that quick. Okay? Patty, I don't know what you mean by M or L. Yolanda was asking, is there a laser to help center the hoop? There is not. However, if you want to purchase, there are aftermarket lasers you can get. You can simply point to that needle hole and just turn them on and off. Martin, can you show what it takes to thread the machine should I forget to tie off before I pull the thread? And in quotes, he says, because we never have had that happen before, right? The answer is, Martin, no. Sorry. We can't show you directly. I mean, we haven't set up to do that. However, on a commercial embroidery machine, you have odd-numbered and you have even-numbered needles. Simply, if needle number 3, if you forgot to tie off on needle number 3 and pull through, simply emulate what you see it doing on needle number 1 or needle number 5. It's not really hard. Right up here, you have your tensioner. You come through your pre-tensioner, you have your tensioner. You come down, you wrap in the same method around the thread break sensor, pull it down, straight in through here, and just follow the pattern that is done on 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, whichever way you're doing. Odds are the same and evens are the same. Does that help? Oh, bobbin size M or L. Okay, Patty, now I understand. So it is a medium size, right? It's a medium size bobbin, standard bobbin that you, sorry? It's an L, sorry. That was coming from the peanut gallery. We have an L, sorry. What is the sewing field size for hats? It's about 3 inches by 14 inches. It's in millimeters. It doesn't exactly translate to that, but it's basically 3 inches tall by about 14 inches wide, a little over 14 inches wide. Did I catch all of those questions? Deb would ask about the auto center button. The reason that there's not an auto center button on this, because there are so many options for the different widths that you can set the arms. You can actually set the arms offset from center. So you actually have to physically set the center of it, because if not, if you have an off-size side, we were talking about using hoops you had for other machines, aftermarket hoops and whatnot like that. And what this allows you to do is use any of those, but you're going to have to manually set your center at that point.
All right, let's hit the button.
Let's hit the button, let it sew. What speed are you running that at right now?
Right now it's 650.
650, okay.
You can speed it up. We're now at 850.
Singing right along. It sounds great. You all can hear it. I've been doing this long enough. You can listen to a machine. This is a well-oiled, well-running machine, and no concerns about it sounding like it's not functioning properly. And we jam through these things pretty quickly. If you can sew flats at 850, you get a lot of work out. If you can run a machine 50 stitches per minute faster, those of you in embroidery know, that's a huge benefit during the course of the day. You may get another dozen shirts out, dozen hats out at the end of the day. The hat we sewed at 800, which is unheard of on hats, especially with some of our competitors who may run machines, Melco, that don't sew hats that well. I didn't say that out loud, but if you did hear it, it might have happened. Any other questions popping up here about the machine?
Somebody's asking about portability.
Oh, one of the great things, I'm glad that you brought that up. One of the great things is, let's stop the machine so you can hear me. One of the great things about the Avancé compared to most machines that are on the marketplace, you can see the stand right here. This machine is completely independent of the stand. It's a great stand. It sits nicely on it. But if you want to go to an event, dog show, horse show, fill in the blank type of show, you can physically pick this machine up. All the electronics are self-contained on the unit itself. You don't have to worry about taking a computer unit with you. Pick it up and you're ready to rock and roll and go.
You do not have to worry about unbolting it from
no
the
bolts,
stand.
Right?
Which is a
no
nightmare.
And you don't have to worry about picking up this computer unit. Again, like a lot of compact machines do, this is completely an independent unit. If you go to an event, or maybe if you don't want to use the stand in your operation even, you can go with it. Deb says, I agree on Melco. Thank you very much, Deb. Is it wireless?
No.
Currently it is not wireless or Bluetooth. Real reason for that is the fact that it's an embroidery machine. You still have to come touch it. You still have to come set your sew sequence. You got to load the design, the actual shirt, hat, whatever onto the machine. You can, like I said, you can use Ethernet, which is huge. It allows you to run multiple machines from one computer, send out your designs to it, and get really clean, quick downloads. Other questions? You guys got a lot of great questions, by the way. I've been doing these webinars for quite a while on this and the DTG. You guys have got some really, really valid questions. Nobody's been out there in the ozone with questions either, which is really good.
Okay, everyone, keep in mind we're winding down a little bit, but stick it out to the end so you can learn about what the bonuses are for attending the presentation tonight.
The little birdie just told me that I may not have told you guys. I think I did. The little birdie forgot. When you save a design in the machine, for those of you who weren't listening, like some of my technicians might not have been, it will allow you. It actually saves your sew sequence in the machine. I mentioned earlier that if you use like maybe your first 9 or 10 colors as your core colors, and then use your other 5 to 6 of them as your swing colors that you use, for the designs that are in those core colors, it's going to save that sew sequence. You pull it up from memory and you sew. Can you network work more than one single head machine? Yes, you can, Jeffrey. You set it up, you download your designs, each of the machines via the Ethernet connection, so you can do that all at your computer, come to the machines, set the sew sequences, and go with them.
Don, we've got a question about is there any training included with it?
Nah, you guys don't need training. The machine's that easy to use. Thanks. No, it does come with training. If you want to come down to sunny Florida, which pretty soon, for the next 4 months, everybody north of us takes me serious on this. It's a great opportunity to come down here and get training. We are in the process of finalizing having training live also in our New Jersey office, which will happen within the next 30 days or so. And we also have some online training that you can take by yourself as well. And the beautiful thing is with training with Cold Essie on any of the products you buy from us, it is free for the lifetime of the machine. As long as you own the machine, you can come in for training. So you hire another employee, you forget, you can come back in, go through on our online training, or also come here for some additional training. Yes, somebody asked about will the multiple heads work differently on different, absolutely. How does it compare to the SWF? That's a good question. I knew it was coming, Martin. Thank you very much. Glad you waited. Personally, I'll tell you the differences I see in the machines. I've been selling SWF machines for 10 years. This I think is a fair assessment. I believe the Avancé does a little better job on small text, on standard embroidery designs, as good, if not better in some cases. Again, if it involves small text, I think we're going to find that the Avancé does it a little bit better. I think the SWF on a single head is slightly quieter, though this is not radically louder. SWF has a slightly larger color display than this does. However, this also allows you to download your designs via the Ethernet, as well as a huge sewing field. I'm going to go back to the huge sewing field.
It is huge.
It is a huge sewing field. That's a big benefit. This is the same size, or actually a little bit larger than the sewing field on a standard machine that we've historically built. So we feel very strongly about this machine being very competitive. And oh, by the way, did I mention, it's almost $3,000 less expensive. You literally are going to be able to buy 4 of these machines for about this price of 3 of the SWF machines.
And Don, just so everybody remembers, I also pulled up the screen that talks about the A+ trade-up guarantee, 2 years, 100%, which is not offered for the SWF.
You're trying to make it sound like we're running a commercial trying to sell
I
machines.
am. We really want you to buy a machine.
So you invest the money into this.
Type in your credit card number now.
2 full years, you're going to be able to upgrade it directly to a 4-head or a 6-head and lose nothing. That's huge. You're growing your business, you're not sure what to do. Bang. A year from now, you call me up. I'm going to give you 100% of what you paid for this beast, straight towards a 4-head or a 6-head, which, by the way, happened to be about 1 full offset for most of our competitors' machine. Our 6-head cost about what a typical 4-head would cost from ourselves with an SWF and our competition with the other machines. Any other questions? How many stitches does it hold? It'll hold up to 2 million stitches. I see that. I don't know if that was an earlier question, but it'll hold up to 2 million stitches, which is a lot of stitches. 200 designs, that's 10,000 stitches allocated per design, basically. Very few designs you're going to do are going to be 10,000 stitches. And the ones you don't do that aren't 10,000, that just frees those stitches up for the other designs. Other questions? Awesome. I appreciate you guys taking the time to show up here tonight. If you need to contact us, you can go to the Coldesi website, the Avancé-emb.com website, or just call in 877-793-3278 and either talk to somebody and ask about embroidery or follow the prompt to an embroidery salesperson.